The second scenario we're going to look at for the provision of IT support services to an existing organisation might be if you had your own internal IT team. That might be one engineer or more. The thing is about this, you've got an IT engineer that might be fixing all of your issues, but they also might be defining your strategy. So no one person can know absolutely everything. That's always a common flaw with placing all the emphasis on designing your IT strategy with that one person in mind. They need some help, they need some advice. Now they might be able to get that from a managed service provider. The second thing is that one person might go on holiday, they might be sick, they might not be around when you've got that time of need, they might be on the beach when the server fails and you can't get through to them. Of course you're going to get a different scenario with a managed service provider. You're going to get breadth of knowledge and depth of knowledge. So you're always going to get better advice on your IT strategy. And most important is that there are costs associated with recruiting internally. That means you're going to have salaries, all the direct costs attached to it, training, and you're going to have to keep that knowledge in-house. So once that knowledge is built up and it's over a few years, suddenly that engineer might decide that they want to move on and they take all that knowledge with them. So you've got extra costs with all the direct costs. So if you take an average salary of say 40k, multiply that by 1.8, then you get 72 grand. If you look at that for a 50 user IT support outsourcing, it's probably going to cost you a quarter of what it would cost for that internal IT team member. There is another way of looking at this though. It might be that that internal IT team member looks after other things in your organization. They actually might be, I don't know, an architect or an accountant, but they're good with their IT. And they might be broadening their horizons and want to move out of that. So what they need is some backup support from a managed service provider. And the way that that can work is you can get first line outsourced support, and that internal IT team member can carry on doing their day job, as well as perhaps defining the strategy in coordination with a managed service provider. So sometimes that can work really well. If that engineer decides to leave, great news, you've got that backup and you can ramp up the service from a managed service provider at the time of need.